Devaya, Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. Prabhupada's purport is there. Let me read it out. This is 3.9.33 purport. In the Bhakti Samrata Sindhu, it is said that a person whose only desire is to render transcendental loving service to the Lord is a free person in any condition of material existence. Ihayasya Harel Dasye Karmana Sagira Nikilaswapyavastasu Jivanmuktasu Uchyate. That service attitude is the swarup or real form of the living entity. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Chaitanya Charitamrita confirms this statement by declaring that the real spiritual form of a living entity is eternal servitorship to the Supreme Lord. The Mayavada school shudders at the thought of a service attitude in the living entity, not knowing that in the transcendental world, the service of the Lord is based on transcendental love. Transcendental loving service is never to be compared to the forced service of the material world. In the material world, even if one is under the conception that he is no one's servant, he is still the servant of his senses, under the dictation of the material modes. Actually, no one is master here in the material world, and therefore the servants of the senses have a very bad experience of servitude. They shudder at the thought of service because they have no knowledge of the transcendental position. In transcendental loving service, the servitor is as free as the Lord. The Lord is Swarat. 1 minute. Because there is no forced service, okay, or fully independent. And in the spiritual atmosphere, the servant is also fully independent or swarat, because there is no forced service. There, the transcendental loving service is due to spontaneous love. A reflected glimpse of such service is experienced in the service of the mother unto the son, the friend's service unto the friend, or the wife's service unto the husband. These reflections of service by friends, parents, or wives are not forced, but are due only to love. Here in this material world, however, the loving service is only a reflection. The real service or service in Swarup is present in the transcendental world in association with the Lord. The very same service in transcendental love can be practiced in devotion here. This one can become what? This one can become what is this? Wait, let me try to.
So it should be free from
material contamination and be situated in full independence in association with the Lord. This verse is also applicable to the Jnani school, the enlightened Jnani, when free from all material contaminations, namely the gross and subtle bodies, together with the senses of the material modes of nature, is placed in the Supreme and is thus liberated from material bondage. The Jnanis and the devotees are actually in agreement up to the point of liberation from material contamination. But whereas the Jnanis remain pacified on the platform of simple understanding, the devotees develop further spiritual advancement in loving service. The devotees develop a spiritual individuality in their spontaneous service attitude, which is enhanced on and on up to the point of madhurya, rasa, or transcendental loving service, reciprocated between the lover and the beloved. 54. Nana karma vitanena prajabhakvisrikshata natma vasvidatyasmimste varshiyan mad anugraha. Since you desire to increase the population innumerably and expand your varieties of service, you shall never be agreed in this matter, because my causeless mercy upon you will always increase for all time. Tadevam jnana bhakti rasatattva upadishya tvayi mama anugraha na kevalam adyatana eva apitu sarvakalika eva ityaha nana iti. So having taught about the truth of jnana, bhakti, and rasa, the Lord then tells him that my anugraha, mercy upon you, is not just for today, but it is for you at all points in time. Varshiyan means uh, greater, always increasing. A pure devotee of the Lord, being cognizant. Cognizant means being aware of the facts of the particular time, object, and circumstances, always desires to expand the number of devotees of the Lord in various ways. Such expansions of transcendental service may appear to be material to the materialist, but factually they are expansions of the causeless mercy of the Lord towards the devotee. Plans for such activities may appear to be material activities, but they are different in potency, being engaged in the satisfaction of the transcendental senses of the Supreme. 35. ऋषिं माद्यं न बध्नाति पापीयां स्वाम रजो गुणः यन्मनो मयि निर्बद्धं प्रजा संसृजतोऽपि ते. You are the original Rishi, and your mind is always fixed on me, even though you will be engaged in generating various progeny. The vicious mode of passion. The vicious mode of passion. Papiyan, sinful, vicious mode of passion will never encroach upon you. It will never overtake you. Tvam rajoguna ma bhaishihi ityaha rishimiti. Either it tells you should not fear rajoguna. Dashamaskandhe asya vikshepaha na rajasa. In the 10th canto, Lord Brahma's agitation caused by the Brahma Vimohana Leela is not due to rajas, kintu manju mahimadarshana saubhagya drishta vashad eva. It is simply because of his very good fortune that he could see this most glorious form of the Supreme Lord. Iti tatraiva vyakhyasyate. This will be explained in the 10th canto. Instead, he's going to explain it later on. The same assurance is given to Brahma in the 2nd canto, chapter 9, verse 37. 1 minute, let me do this. Because he's so favored by the Lord, Brahma's schemes and plans are all infallible. If sometimes Brahma is seen to be bewildered, as in the 10th canto, he is bewildered by seeing the action of the internal potency. That is for his further advancement in knowledge and transcendental service. Arjuna is found to be similarly bewildered. All such bewilderment of the pure devotees of the Lord is specifically meant for their further advancement in knowledge of the Lord. He says, Gyatoham bhavata twadya durvigye yopi dehinam yanmam tvam manyase yuktam bhutendriya gunatmabhihi. Although I'm not easily knowable by the conditioned soul, you have known me today because you know that my personality is not constituted of anything material, and specifically not of the 5 gross and 3 subtle elements. Yet, yasmat mam sa akaram api bhuta adibhihi ayuktam rupam yadetat avbhota rasa udayena ityadi bruvanaha tvam manyase tasmat maya maya ayam akarah na bhutani prithvi adini na api indriyani tejasani na api gunamaya na api atma jivaha kintu साक्षात् ब्रह्म एव त्वं जानासि iti artha. Now, since you see that even though I have a form, that form is not made of the gross elements such as earth, and nor is it made up of the subtle senses which are produced in the mode of passion. Nor is it composed of the raw modes of material nature also. Nor am I a Jivatma, but actually I am Sakshat Brahma. I am the direct absolute truth. And you know this. You have already stated this. You have already stated this. So from that, I understand that you know. Tena madrupasya sachidanandatva mayatvayoho mananam. Wait. Sachidananda Maya. I think that's a type in here. No, here also it's got Mayatva only. Sachidanandatva. I think both of them. Okay. I got it. Sachidanandatva Mayatvayoho Mananameva Mat Jnana Ajnanayoho Lingam. Iti Bhagavad Abhipraya Vagrahya. So one should grasp the intention of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in this matter. That if one considers the form of the Supreme Lord to be Sachidananda in nature, then it is a symptom that he has knowledge, that person has knowledge about, correct knowledge about him. And when he thinks that his form is made out of Maya, then that is a symptom that he has ignorance about the true nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's form. Knowledge of the Supreme Absolute Truth does not necessitate negation of the material manifestation, but understanding of spiritual existence as it is. To think that because material existence is realized in forms, therefore spiritual existence must be formless, is only a negative material conception of spirit. The real spiritual conception is that spiritual form is not material form. Brahma appreciated the eternal form of the Lord in that way, and the personality of God approved of Brahma's spiritual conception. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna condemns the material conception of his body, the conception that arises because he is apparently present like a man. Avajananti ma mudha manushim tanum ashritam. The Lord may appear in any of his many spiritual forms, but he is not materially composed, nor is there any difference between his body and his self. That is a way of conceiving the spiritual form of the Lord. 57. Tubhyam mad vichikitsayam Atma me darshito bahi nalena salile moolam pushkarasya vichinvataha. When you are contemplating whether there was a source to the stem of the lotus of your birth, and you even entered into that stem, you could not trace out anything. But at that time, I manifested my form from within. Yataha madrupasya mad ichaya eva atarkyaya drishyatvam natu vastutaha netra adi indriya grahyatvam iti atarkvameva pramanam ityaha. Now you yourself are the evidence, you are the proof that my form can only be seen by my own inconceivable desire. It cannot factually be perceived or grasped by the eyes and other senses. You yourself are the proof for this. That is pointed out in this verse. Tubhyam tvam katharthi kartum atma shri vigraha me maya abahi antarhriti. I have shown my spiritual form, myself. I've shown you myself. Myself means my Shri Vigraha, my sacred form, my spiritual form, not externally to you. That means internally, in your heart. And I did this to make you successful. Yadva, alternate meaning, or else. Bahirapi darshitaha, instead of abhihi, by Sanskrit grammar, you can also take it as bahihi. There are some grammar rules which allow that. So if you had to take it as bahi, then bahirapi darshitaha, gopavesho me purastad avir babhuva iti shrutehe, which means that I have even shown you my form externally. The Gopalatapani Upanishad says that Supreme Lord, he appeared in front of Brahma in the form of a cowherd boy. Iti Shrute. And the Shruti says that Atma Darshanasya Deyatvat Kriyagrahanapi Kartavyam iti Sampradani Chaturthi Va. So it indicates, this is a grammatical discussion. It simply indicates that so he gave this vision. It simply means that I have shown my form to you. It's not that Brahma himself discovered the form. I've shown that form to you. Kada, when was this? Pushkarasya moolam vichinvataha tava mayi vishaye vichikitsayam asya adhishthanam asti na asti va iti sandehe sati iti artha. When I reveal my form to you, when you were searching for the source of the lotus, the base of the lotus, and you were researching about me, you were in a state of doubt whether does this have a base or not. Atra tapasaha samadhehi cha anulekhat tavapi mad darshanasya vasutaha na hetuhu. Now we know that Lord Brahma, he engaged in austerity and he engaged in samadhi, meditation at the state of samadhi also. But here, Krishna is not, Lord Narayana is not mentioning that here. And from that we understand that they are not factually the reasons for why I am showing myself to you. This is his idea. Kintu mat ichha eva iti rahasyam siddhantam api brahmanam yapayamasa iti gyayam. So one should understand that it was actually the Lord's own desire only. This confidential conclusion was also conveyed to Lord Brahma. The personality of Godhead can be experienced only by his causeless mercy, not by mental speculation or with the help of the material senses. Material senses cannot approach the transcendental understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He can be appreciated only by submissive devotion service when he reveals himself before the devotee. Only by love of Godhead can one know God and not otherwise. The personality of Godhead cannot be seen with the material eyes, but he can be seen from within by spiritual eyes opened by the ointment of love of God. As long as one's spiritual eyes are closed due to the dirty covering of matter, one cannot see the Lord. But when the dirt is removed by the process of devotion service, one can see the Lord without a doubt. Brahma's personal endeavor to see the root of the lotus pipe failed. But when the Lord was satisfied by his penance and devotion, the Lord revealed himself from within with no external endeavor. 38. Yet chakar thangamat stotram mat katham hyudayankitam yadva tapasite nishtha sa esha madanugraha. O Brahma, the prayers that you have chanted, praising the glories of my transcendental activities, the penances you have undertaken to understand me, and your firm faith in me, all these are to be considered my causeless mercy. Ataha tava mat stava adayah api mat kartrika anugrahen eva abhuvan Ityaha. So even the prayers that you offered, they also came about only by mercy from my side, from me, by my mercy. That is now brought out in this verse. Yet chakartha akaroho tat sarvam saha prasiddha eshaha pratyakshaha mad anugraha iti etasyeva karyam tat tat pratihi iti arthaha. So all this Stavapatha, everything, all of that, which is now well known, all of this, uh, it is simply due to my mercy. You are seeing me, that is also due to my mercy. And everything that you are going to do, understand that that will also be my mercy. When a living entity desires to serve the Lord in transcendental loving service, the Lord helps the devotee in so many ways as the Chaitya Guru or the spiritual master within. And thus the devotee can perform many wonderful activities beyond material estimation. By the mercy of the Lord, even a layman can compose prayers of the highest spiritual perfection. Such spiritual perfection is not limited by material qualifications, but is developed by dint of one's sincere endeavor to render transcendental service. Voluntary endeavor is the only qualification for spiritual perfection. Material acquisitions of wealth or education are not considered. 59. प्रीतोहम अस्तु वर्षम अस्तु भद्रम ते लोकानां विजयेच्छया यद अस्तौ शीर गुणमयम निर्गुणम मानुवर्णयम. I'm very much pleased by your description of me in terms of my transcendental qualities, which appear mundane to the mundaners. I grant you all benedictions in your desire to glorify all the planets by your activities. Moreover, Kimcha, Mat Kripa Uthaya Eva Bhaktya. What is this? Punarham. Which must be Punaraham. Punaraham. Actually, no, correct. Ativa Prinami iti Atutam Mat Paripatim Pashya Ityaha Pritahe iti. I am extremely pleased with you with bhakti that actually comes about by my own mercy. Look at my wonderful skill. लोकानां विजये इच्छया मत्सृज्यमाना लोकाः जययुक्ताः भवन्तु इति इच्छया गुणमयं कल्याणसमुद्रं स आकारं मां निर्गुणं प्राकृतसत्त्वादिगुणरहितम् अनुवर्णयन् यत् अस्तौषि. Now you had offered prayer to me while describing me to be an ocean of auspicious qualities. And you also said that I'm devoid of the material modes, material gunas, material attributes such as satoguna, rajaguna, tamoguna. And you did all that because you had a desire that the worlds that would be created by you, the populations that would be created by you, they would be endowed with victory. That means they would become successful. That means they would become spiritually successful. Pritaha aham, I am happy with that. Atha tesham bhadramastu. So let there be auspiciousness for them. Yetu gunamayam mam Sri Narayanam. ये तु गुणमयं मां श्रीनारायणं सत्त्वादिगुणत्वेन एव स्तुवन्ति न तु निर्गुणत्वेन तेषां तेषु न प्रीतः अस्मि इति न तेषां भद्रमस्तु इति भावः. So the implication is, but I'm not pleased with those who offer prayers to me as the one who is filled with satoguna, rajoguna, tamoguna. So let there be no auspiciousness unto them, unto those people. I'm not satisfied with them. So Sri Narayana makes this point very clear. We should Achyutanam. Haribo. Achyutanam Prabhu, if you have a question and you're speaking, you should unmute.
Sorry, Prabhu. Prabhu, I was asking that in verse number 38, translation, when it is written, penances you have undertaken to understand me is also Lord's causeless mercy. So one may say that I am not endeavoring in devotional service because I don't have Lord's mercy.
No, it means that the success that we attain and the enthusiasm that we get, all of that has to have a component of the Lord's mercy also. Obviously, a loving reciprocation between two persons has to be by mutual endeavor. So, in devotional service to the Supreme Lord, also, the Jivatma has to individually engage in the acts of devotion. But it is the Supreme Lord who trains the living entity to do that also. Madhvacharya gives an example. He says that take, for example, a Brahmin boy, small boy, when he undergoes Upanayana from his father, Vedic initiation. Then the father trains that child. Now you offer obeisances unto me. Fold your hands like this. Recite this mantra which I'm telling you. It's all coming from the Vedic system. So he's training the son to offer obeisances unto him and to respect him because the child doesn't even know that. So, like that, the Supreme Lord Himself, He makes an arrangement for us to engage in various acts of subordination to Him. So, this is just a general principle which is commonly understood. But still, the living entity gets the credit because he has agreed to do this much.
Okay, bro.
Okay. A pure devotee of the Lord like Brahma and those in his disciplic succession always desire that the Lord be known all over the universe by each and every one of the living entities. That desire of the devotee is always blessed by the Lord. So, this is the victory that Brahma wants. That I want that devotional service unto you should be successfully established all over the universe. That desire of the devotee is always blessed by the Lord. The impulsive sometimes prays for the mercy of the personality of God Narayana as the embodiment of material goodness. But such prayers do not satisfy the Lord because he is not thereby glorified in terms of his actual transcendental qualities. The pure devotees of the Lord are always most dear to him, although he is always kind and merciful to all living entities. Here, the word Gunamayam is significant because it indicates the Lord's possessing transcendental qualities. What एतेन पुमान् नित्यं स्तुत्वा स्तोत्रेण मां भजे तस्याशु संप्रसीदेयं सर्वकाम परेश्वरः. Any human being who prays like Brahma and who thus worships me shall very soon be blessed with the fulfillment of all his desires. For I am the Lord of all benediction. त्वयि प्रीतः इति किं वक्तव्यम्? What more should I say to prove that I am pleased with you? If anyone who prays like you and worships me, he will be blessed with the fulfillment of all of his desires. The prayers offered by Brahma cannot be chanted by anyone who desires to fulfill his own sense gratification. Such prayers can be selected only by a person who wants to satisfy the Lord by serving him. The Lord certainly fulfills all desires in regard to transcendental loving service, but he does not fulfill the whims of non-devotees, even when such casual devotees offer him the best of prayers. 41. Murtena tapasa yagye, daner yoga samadhina, radhyam nishreyasam pumsam, mat pritis tatuvinmatam. It is the opinion of expert transcendentalists that the ultimate goal of performing all traditional good works, penances, sacrifices, charity, mystic activities, meditation in trance, etc., is to invoke my satisfaction. न च मत्प्रीतेः अभ्यधिकं किञ्चिदस्ति. And there is nothing superior to bringing about my pleasure. He expresses this in the current verse. त्याः उक्तादिभिः राद्धं साधितं यन्निःश्रेयसं फलं तत् तत्त्वविदां मतं मत्प्रीतिः एव. Whatever is accomplished through pious activities, traditional good works, urta, penances, yajna, dana, by yoga samadhi, all of those results, the factual result of all of these, according to the opinion of those who know the truth, is bringing about my pleasure. This is the only factual result. Mat pritim vina rabdham nishreyasam, anishreyasam eva. And any benefit that comes about without bringing about my pleasure, that is factually not benefit. अतः तत्त्वविदः मत्प्रीत्यर्थमेव पूर्तादिकं कुर्वन्ति इति ते मां प्रीणन्तमेव कर्तुमिच्छन्ति. Therefore, those who know the truth, they perform all these activities, traditional good works, penances, sacrifices, charity, trance and mysticism, only to make me happy. Natu mam swapritehi vishayam chikirshani. They do not wish that I make them happy. अतः तया सात्विक्या भक्त्या तान् प्रति अहं प्रीतः तेभ्यः मोक्षं ददामि इति भावः. The implication is, I'm pleased with such sattvic bhakti. This is not transcendental bhakti because they are desiring the effect of the mode of goodness. So this is actually sattvika bhakti. Sattvika bhakti. So I am satisfied with them, and therefore I grant them liberation. There are many traditionally pious activities in human society, such as altruism, philanthropy, nationalism, internationalism, charity, sacrifice, penance, and even meditation and trance. And all of them can be fully beneficial only when they lead to the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The perfection of any activity, social, political, religious, or philanthropic, is to satisfy the Supreme Lord. The secret of success is known to the devotee of the Lord as exemplified by Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. As a good non-violent man, Arjuna did not want to fight with his kinsmen. But when he understood that Krishna wanted the fight and he had arranged it at Kurukshetra, he gave up his own satisfaction and fought for the satisfaction of the Lord. That is the right decision for all intelligent men. One's only concern should be to satisfy the Lord by one's activities. If the Lord is satisfied by an action, whatever it may be, then it is successful. Otherwise, it is simply a waste of time. That is the standard of all sacrifice, penance, austerity, mystic trends, and other good and pious work. Yes.
Prabhuji, this is little related and little off track question. When this satisfaction of Lord is mentioned, mm, actually a particular incident has happened. That's why this question came. So sometimes when we try to follow a particular instruction of Prabhupada, which is not well known in ISKCON as a society, and devotees sometimes misunderstand that why he is behaving like this. And when we say that this is what Prabhupada wanted us to do, and then there may be some devotees who may feel bad about it. So if devotees are dissatisfied, in that way, Lord is getting dissatisfied. So will that be counted as offense?
The Phalena Parichayate, if I am actually carrying out Prabhupada's instructions correctly, then that will be shown by the results. Now, Prabhupada has given several indicators of success in preaching. In this Mood and Mission series, in the first volume, there's a whole series of indicators of success in preaching. Several quotations from Prabhupada. There are different things which Prabhupada says, see, this is proof that our preaching has succeeded. So if you examine all of that, and from that it will be clear who is actually producing the results. From that we understand that Krishna is satisfied. From that we understand that Prabhupada is satisfied. That's all.
May I tell the incident, Prabhu, because I am disturbed a little bit by that and little bit fearful also.
No, but I'm telling you one simple thing. If you examine all the, okay, wait, anyway you're asking, let me just show you. Show you the Kindle version. It's very interesting. Where's my Kindle? Right here. Before entering into any specifics, it's probably better to examine different things that Prabhupada has pointed out. Indicators of success. Two main factors: spreading the chanting, books being published, distributed, new centers, devotees joining, youngsters participating, oldsters appreciating, preaching by any means, opposition, recognition, quality, quantity. There's a lot that Prabhupada has spoken about what is factually success in preaching. So all of this needs to be thoroughly examined. All of these things need to be examined. Unless we examine these things, we cannot very easily, we cannot say like drawn the attention of the world on account of life and knowledge in ISKCON. Life means enthusiasm. It's become very popular. Result is more satisfactory. the success of the Krishna consciousness movement because we're reducing even offenders to chant. This is its success. That even though they want to criticize it, we are giving them a chance to chant Hare Krishna. I'll be successful whenever everyone will chant Hare Krishna. Books are being published, with the sample books, everything else will succeed. Like this, there are so many indicators of what is actually preaching. So overall, we need to first of all understand these principles. So every element that we conceive of, and we may think that it's in line with Prabhupada, and we may get some apparent evidence from Prabhupada also. But whether it actually contributes to the factual success, that is the point. It's like Prabhupada was himself talking about his methods of preaching and comparing it with his God brothers, especially in Mayapur, where his God brothers are simply critical. So then Prabhupada said, but look at the result. You look at the result. If I am doing, they're constantly complaining, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing this, I'm doing this, but look at the result. So whoever within ISKCON, whether it is you or me or anybody else who likes you or who dislikes you or who's neutral, whoever claims that this is the right way or this is not the right way, this is in line with Prabhupada, this is not in line with Prabhupada, ultimately we need to look at the result. So as a general principle, all of us should be aware of this. Okay.
I have a follow-up question on this. Like this is, it will take time to study and maybe to understand things. But if right now, if I am having some misunderstanding, if other devotees are not happy when I state that this is what Prabhupada said and this is what I am trying to follow. So will that means in one way I am thinking that it's an offense. So dealings becomes difficult. I'll give you a specific example. A small example.
Prabhupada himself, he said, when two devotees have a quarrel about a particular aspect of how to engage in service to Krishna, whether one of them is simply envious of the other or whether the person actually has a better understanding of how to serve Krishna, that will be proven over time. That will be proven over time. Same principle, phalena parichiyate. We understand over time. Because many things, people may say that it is offensive. And there are many instances where devotees have said wrong things. In fact, ISKCON's own history is all filled with Prabhupada said, Prabhupada said, Prabhupada said, and we did so many wrong things. And we understood, over the decades, we understood that no, this is a misunderstanding of Prabhupada. So we may individually may be very, very convinced that Prabhupada actually said this and whole ISKCON is wrong on this, but the result has to prove that. Preaching requires deep thinking. It's not simply, you need to know, you need to carefully examine. Okay?
Yes, Prabhu.
Anyway, let's resume. 42. Aham atmatmanam dhata preshthas san prayasam api ato mayi ratim kurya dehadir yat krite priyaha. I am the super soul of every individual soul, the supreme director, and the dearest of the dear. People are wrongly attached to the gross and subtle bodies, but they should be attached to me only. Nirguna bhakti matam tu pritehe aham vishayah iti vyanjayan sarveshamapi jivanam vasutah priteha ahameva vishayi bhavittum yogyah iti atah swasmin pritim vidhatte aham iti. So in this verse, he points out that he is the object of love for those who engage in devotional service that is entirely transcendental to the modes of material nature. But factually, he is meant to be the object of love for all the Jivatmas. So therefore, in this verse, he points out that I am supposed to be the object of love for everyone. Ahamiti, Atmanam, Jivanam, Aham, Atma, Paramatma. Yat krite dehadih priya iti kalatra putra adishu pritihi deha sambandhena dehe pritihi jivatma sambandhena jivatmani pritihi paramatma sambandhena iti paramatmani eva pritihi swabhaviki jiva atma adishu aupachariki iti teshu kramena priyatva rasaha. What he's saying is, I am the Atma of all the Atmas. That means I am the ultimate soul of the Jivatmas, because of which um, the body and so on, which belong to these Atmas, are dear to them. So now, one's wife, one's sons, and so on, the affection to them is on the basis of one's own body, because one has a bodily relationship with them, body-based relationship with them. So the affection for them, the love for them, is based on the connection with the body. And then the love for the body is because of the connection with the Jivatma. Because affection for one's own body is because I'm the Jivatma within the body, it is my body. Jivatmani Priti, and the love for the Jivatma in that manner, if you extend it further, is because of the Paramatma. It is because the Paramatma is inside the Jivatma that the Jivatma himself is an object of love for the Jivatma. Therefore, love for the Supreme Soul is natural. And love for the Jivatma's body, and those who are connected to the body of the Jivatma, they are all figurative. They are all figurative, okay. And if you go more and more and more, that love is actually less and less and less. So the love for the Jivatma is lesser actually than love for the super soul. And the love for the body is correspondingly lesser than the love for those who are even connected to the body, even further lesser. So then he takes up an anticipated objection. Tarhi Mairatim kuryad ityasya vakyasya katham vidhitvam ratehe praptatvad eva yaduktam vidhihi atyantam apraptav iti. But how can you place a commandment here? How can you place an order here that the Jivatma should love me? He should. Actually, he's saying literally, he should act with love for me. Now, since that rati, here the exact expression used is rati, attraction. But since that attraction is something that is attained, and a commandment should be made when it is actually not there. So then, how will you make sense of this? Uchyate. He then gives an answer. Mayayam khalu adhikaraha jivatma paryanta eva. Natu tataha api paratra paramatmani iti mayabandha patitanam manushyaadina mayikeshu eva vastushu anubhava pravartate. Now Maya's scope, jurisdiction is only up to the Jivatma. She does not have a scope to go beyond the Jivatma regarding the Paramatma, the Supreme Lord. Mayabandha patitanam manushadinam mayikeshu eva vastushu anubhava pravartate. And for human beings and others who have come under the control of Maya, they only experience Mayic items, which means the products of Maya. They only experience the objects of Maya. Jivasya api aropitam mayikatvam vartate iti. So Maya is in that way superimposed on the jiva. That much can be stated in addition. Tathapi Paramatmani tu swabhavikyaha vrittehe vartamanatve api anubhava abhavat agyata bahuvittasya vanijah daridyamiva tatra priti abhava iti priti vidhante shastram. So even though affection for the Supreme Soul is natural, because of lack of experience, like a merchant who has a lot of wealth, but he does not know he has a lot of wealth, he experiences poverty. So, like that, the scriptures, they order the living entity to develop love uh, when there is no love. किंच मोरोवर वस्तुतः प्रेष्ठः अपि परमात्मज्ञानिभिः साक्षात् अनुभूतः अपि रत्या विना प्रेम आस्पदं न भवति. And even though factually the Paramatma is so dear, and even though the Jnanis, they may develop direct realization of the Supreme Lord, still they do not have an attraction, and therefore he is not their object of love. अतः भक्तानामेव सर्वदेशकालवर्ती सन् पृष्ठः भवति न तु ज्ञानिनां यथा शीताद्यार्तिहरे चक्षुः प्रकाश सुखप्रदे अपि सूर्ये साक्षात् अनुभूते अपि केऽपि यत् न अनुरज्यन्ति तत्र ममत्व अभाव एव हेतुः. So just as he gives an example, he says for the devotees alone, the Supreme Soul is most dear at all in all places at all times. This is not the situation with the Jnanis. And he gives this example. He says, though the sun dispels cold and so on, and it gives happiness to the eyes by bringing about light, though the sun can be directly experienced, still there are some people who are not appreciative of this. They do not consider this valuable. They do not have any attachment for the sun. Suryasya tat sukha prataha api teshu udasta eva. So even though the sun gives happiness to them, Surya is actually giving happiness to them, still he is indifferent to them. Evam jnanijanaha khalu ajnanatamaha antari swanubhava sukha pradepi brahmani mamatva bhavat na anurajyanti. Similarly, the Jnanis, they do not rejoice in the Supreme Brahman. They do not, even though this Brahman gives them happiness, the happiness of self-realization, Swanubhava, which is a certain form of happiness and destroys their distress. Internal ignorance is being destroyed. They do not have a sense of mamatva, a sense of possession towards that, and they are not attached. Brahma api swam nirushesham eva anubhavayam teshu udasta eva. Brahma is also, and this impersonal Brahman is also being experienced as such, as impersonal, and therefore he is actually Brahman is Bhagavan only, But because he is being experienced as impersonal, he is indifferent to these people. यदा च सूर्यभक्तः जनः चक्षुष्मान् अन्धः वा भक्त्या सन्तोषितं सूर्यम् इह एव करचरण आदिमन्तं सः अश्वरथसारथ्यादिकं पश्यति तं स्वप्रेमवशं च करोति तथा एव मुक्तः बद्धः वा जीवः भक्त्या एव परमात्मानं सविशेषम् अनुभवयं तत्र अनुरज्यति तं च स्वप्रेमवशं करोति इति अतः परमात्मनः सर्वतः प्रेष्ठत्वं भक्तानां केवलया प्रधानीभूतया वा भक्त्या एव. And then when you consider a devotee of Surya, the sun god, that devotee, he may have eyesight, he may be blind, but through devotion to that Surya Deva, he has made him happy. And even at the present time, he is able to see that Surya Deva with hands, feet, and other bodily limbs, with um, horses, with chariot, with charioteers, and so on, as described in the scriptures, and brings him under his loving control. In the same manner, the Jivatma, he may be liberated or bound, but through his devotion, he experiences this Supreme Soul as being a personality with all his personal features. And he is attached to this Supreme Soul. And he brings that Supreme Soul under the control of his loving affection. So therefore, the Supreme Soul is affectionate in every sense, only to his devotees who engage in Kevala Bhakti or Pradhanibhuta Bhakti. Not to Jnaninam Gunibhuta Bhaktya, not to the Jnanis who engage in minimized Bhakti, Gunibhuta Bhakti. Ataha Uttam Swayam Paramatma Eva. And therefore, the Supreme Soul himself says, Ato Mayi Ratim Kuryaditi Vivechani. Therefore, you should have love for me. This should be understood. Yadva. Or else, Ratehe Uktayuktehe Vahetoho Mayi Ratim Kurya. For this very reason, one should develop love for me. One should be affectionate to me. Yasya Ratih Krite Dehadau Apritim. अतः अपि विवेकिनः देहादिप्रियः भवति. Why should dehado apritim? Dehado, what is it apritim? Wait, I think that's a mistake in the title. Let me check. Dehado apritimataha api. Apritimataha. Vivekinah dehadipriyah bhavati. It is because of that affection that even though the body and so on are factually not objects of affection by themselves, even for discriminating souls, they do become objects of affection. Dehendriyadivihi eva paricharya kirtanadihi bhakti siddhihi. Because they're able to accomplish the activities of devotion in the form of kirtana, menial service to the deity, and so on, with the body and the senses, and so on. So they do have affection for the body, senses, and so on, even though the body and senses by themselves are not objects of affection for them. Iti na eva te moksha akankshinaha syuhu divavaha. Therefore, these personalities do not hanker for moksha. This is the implication. The Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, is the dearest of the dear for both the conditioned and the liberated souls. A person who does not know that the Lord is the dearmost object is in the conditioned state of life, and one who knows perfectly well that the Lord is the dearmost object is considered to be liberated. There are degrees of knowing one's relationship with the Lord, depending on the degree of realization as to why the Supreme Lord is the dearmost object of every living being. The real reason is clearly stated in the Bhagavad Gita 15.7. Mamaivamsho jivaloke jivahuta sanatana. The living entities are eternally parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. The living entity is called the Atma and the Lord is called the Paramatma. The living entity is called Brahman and the Lord is called Parabrahman or the Parameshwara. Ishvara Paramah Krishna. The conditioned souls who do not have self-realization accept the material body as the dearmost. The idea of the dearmost is then spread all over the body, both concentrated and extended. The attachment for one's own body and its extensions like children and relatives is actually developed on the basis of the real living entity. Even the body of the most dear son is no longer attractive as soon as the real living entity is out of the body. Therefore, the living spark or eternal part of the Supreme is the real basis of affection and not the body. Because the living entities are also parts of the whole living entity, that supreme living entity is the actual basis of affection for all. One who has forgotten the basic principle of his love for everything has only flickering love because he is in Maya. The more one is affected by the principle of Maya, the more he is detached from the basic principle of love. One cannot factually love anything unless he is fully developed in the loving service of the Lord. In the present verse, stress is given to focusing love upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The word kuryat is significant here. This means one must have it. This word is used just to stress that we must have more and more attachment to the principle of love for the Lord. That means we should be focused on attaining this love of Godhead. The influence of Maya is experienced by the part and parcel spiritual entity, but it cannot influence the super soul, the Paramatma. The Mayavadi philosophers, accepting the influence of Maya on the living entity, want to become one with the Paramatma. But because they have no actual love for the Paramatma, they remain ever entrapped by the influence of Maya and are unable to approach the vicinity of the Paramatma. They are unable to come near the Supreme Soul. This inability is due to their lack of affection for the Paramatma. A rich miser does not know how to utilize his wealth, and therefore, in spite of his being rich, his miserly behavior keeps him everlastingly a poor man. On the other hand, a person who knows how to utilize wealth can quickly become a rich man, even with a small credit balance. The eyes and the sun are very intimately related because without sunlight, the eyes are unable to see. But the other parts of the body being attached to the sun as a source of warmth take more advantage of the sun than do the eyes. Without possessing affection for the sun, the eyes cannot bear the rays of the sun. Or, in other words, such eyes have no capacity to understand the utility of the sun's rays. Similarly, the empiric philosophers, despite their theoretical knowledge of Brahman, cannot utilize the mercy of the Supreme Brahman because they lack affection for it. So many impersonal philosophers remain everlastingly under the influence of Maya because although they engage in theoretical knowledge of Brahman, they do not develop affection for Brahman, nor do they have any scope for development of such affection because of their defective method. A devotee of the sun god, even though devoid of eyesight, can see the sun god as he is even from this planet. Whereas one who is not a devotee of the sun cannot even bear the glaring sunlight. Similarly, by devotion service, even though one is not on the level of a jnani, one can see the personality of Godhead within oneself due to one's development of pure love. In all circumstances, one should try to develop love of God. That will resolve all contending problems. 43. Sarvava Vedam Mayenedam Atmana Atma Yonina Prajasrija Yatha Purvam Yascham Mayi Anusherate. By following my instructions, you can now generate the living entities as before. By dint of your complete Vedic wisdom and the body you directly receive from me, the supreme cause of everything. Maririshishta nigamasya iti yat prarthitam tatraha. Now, Brahma had prayed much earlier that I should not forget the Vedas. May Vedic knowledge not be lost to me. He is responding to that prayer here. What is in the Vedas? Vedas. Vedas. Vedastvaya na vismartavya iti bhava. You should not forget the Vedas. Idam atmana anena eva dehena prajaha srija. Atmanam atma ahameva yonihi karanam yasya iti tena. You should create this world using your body. You should create all these offspring using your body. Why does he say idam? I am the soul of all the souls, which means I am the cause of everyone. Yatha purva dinas srishtim smarayati. And then he reminds him of how he created in the previous day. Mayi anusherate. Do it the way you did in your previous day. Sthitanam abhivyakti matram kartavyam iti anayasatvam uktam. It is an easy task for you. All you have to do is to manifest. Manifest means manifest all their bodies. Chakarat bhaktim chakuru. And the word cha indicates that you should also engage in devotion service to me. 44. Maitreya Vacha. Tasma evam jagat srashtre pradhana purusheshwaraha vyajyedam svena rupena kanjanabha stirodabhe. The sage Maitreya said after instructing Brahma, the creator of the universe, to expand the creation, the primeval Lord, the personality of Godhead, in its personal form as Narayana, disappeared. Idam srijyam jagat vyajya prakashya svena Sri Narayana rupena. So, after showing this world that is to be created, then the Lord disappeared. The Lord meaning the Lord who had exhibited his form of Sri Narayana, he disappeared to the vision of Brahma. Brahmye, what is Brahmye? Spelling mistake, typing mistake. Here also it is Brahmye kalpe. अत्र ब्राह्म्ये कल्पे अहम एवासम एवाग्रे इत्यादि चतुश्लोकी भागवतमेव इव पाद्मे कल्पे यदा तु सर्वलोकेषु इति यदा रहितम् इति पूर्तेन इति अहम आत्मात्मनाम् इति चतुश्लोकी भागवतम् इदं भगवान् उपदिदेशे इति केचित् आहुः. Now, some authorities say that in Brahmakalpa, what is it? Brahmi, Brahma. In Brahmakalpa, the Supreme Lord had spoken 4 verses, beginning with Aham Evasam Evagre. And that in Padmakalpa, the Supreme Lord spoke these 4 verses, Yada tu sarvalokeshu, Yada rahitam, Purtena ham atma atmanam, and so on. 4 verses, a different set of Chatushloki. This is the opinion of some other authorities. That means you can check the verses here. It will be a different set of verses. Before his activity in creating the universe, Brahma saw the Lord. That is the explanation of the Chatushloki Bhagavad. When the creation awaited Brahma's activity, Brahma saw the Lord, and therefore the Lord existed in his personal form before the creation. His eternal form is not created by the attempt of Brahma, as imagined by less intelligent men. Personality of Godhead appeared as he is before Brahma, The Lord disappeared from Brahma's vision in the same form, which is not materially tinged. Chapter 10, Divisions of the Creation. 1. Vidrovacha. Antarhite Bhagavate. Brahmaloka Pitamaha. Prajasasarja Katidha. Daihikir Manasir Vimpu. She Vidura said, O great sage, please let me know how Brahma, the grandfather of the planetary inhabitants, created the bodies of the living entities from his own body and mind after the disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Darshini. कालस्य लक्षणं सामान्यतो दशम उच्यते सर्गो दशविधश्चातः प्राकृतादि विभेदवान्. So in this 10th chapter, the 10 types of bodies, beginning with the 10 types of sarga, actually, prakrita sarga, we will come across it, are brought out. And the general characteristics of time are also described. 2. ये च मे भगवन् पृष्ठाः त्वय्यर्था बहुवित्तमः तान् वदस्वान् पूर्व्येन छिन्दिनः सर्व संशयान्. O greatly learned one, kindly eradicate all my doubts. Let me know of all that I have inquired from you from the beginning to the end. Vadasva. From sarvatha janasi. Iti ataha vada. Iti ataha. Please speak. Kindly describe. Meaning, you know everything in every manner about what I'm asking, so please speak. Vidura asked all relevant questions of Maitreya because Vidura knew well that Maitreya was the right person to reply to all the points of his inquiries. One must be confident about the qualifications of his teacher. One should not approach a layman for replies to specific spiritual inquiries. Such inquiries, when replied to with imaginative answers by the teacher, are a program for wasting time. 3. सूतोवाच एवं संचोदितस्तेन क्षत्रा कौशारविर्मुनिः प्रीतः प्रत्याहतान् प्रश्नान् हृदिस्थानथ भार्गव. Suta Goswami said, O son of Vidhu, the great sage Maitreya Muni, thus hearing from Vidura, felt very much enlivened. Everything was in his heart. And thus he began to reply to the questions one after another. Bhargava Yadina Jnane Samarthyam Dyotitam. O son of Prabhu, O descendant of Prabhu. Like this, there are different descriptions. All of this indicates that Maitreya was quite capable of expounding this information. Hridisthaniti nate prashnan nate what? Prashnan. Wait. This is what text number 3. Prashnan should be. Hridisthan iti nate prashnaha. Nate prashnaha. Tena vismrita. Everything was in his heart means that he did not forget the questions that were asked. The phrase Sutavacha, Suta Goswami said, appears to indicate a break in the discourse between Maharaj Parikshit and Shukadeva Goswami. While Shukadeva Goswami was speaking to Maharaj Parikshit, Suta Goswami was only one member of a large audience, but Suta Goswami was speaking to the sages of Naimisharanya, headed by the sage Shaunaka, a descendant of Shukadeva Goswami. This, however, does not make any substantial difference in the topics under discussion. 4. Maitreya Vacha. Virinchopi tatha chakre divyam vartishatam tapaha atmanyatmanamaveshya yathaha bhagavan ajaha. The greatly learned Maitreya said, O Vidura, Brahma thus engaged himself in penances for 100 celestial years. as advised by the personality of Godhead and applied himself in devotion service to the Lord. Atmani, he fixed himself unto the Supreme Atma. Yeah. Atma originally refers to the Supreme Lord, which means here refers to Sri Narayan. So he uh, engaged himself in devotion service to Atmani, unto Lord Narayan. Atmanam Manaha. So he fixed his mind on Lord Sri Narayan. That Brahma engaged himself for the personality of God in Narayana means that he engaged himself in the service of the Lord. That is the highest penance one can perform for any number of years. There is no retirement from such service, which is eternal and ever encouraging. 5. Tad vilokyabja sambhuto vayuna yadhishthitah padmamambasya tatkal krita viryena kampitam. Thereafter Brahma saw that both the lotus on which he was situated and the water on which the lotus was growing were trembling due to a strong, violent wind. Abjasambhutah Brahma yat padmam adhishkitah iti kartariktah tadeva padmam ambha cha vayuna kampitam vikshya nyapad iti uttarena anvayah. So Brahma was born from the lotus. He was situated on the lotus. He saw that the lotus and the water were trembling because of the wind. This is connected with the next verse. It is one sentence. This current verse and the next verse are one sentence. Vayuna katham bhutena. What was the nature of that wind? Tat kalena pralaya samayena kritam viryam yasya tena nyapat nashayamasa iti artha. The wind had the virya or power which was generated at the time of pralaya, dissolution. And then that was that power because of which things were destroyed. That power. Pralaya kale yavat pramanam ambha vayuhu cha avardhata tavat pramanam eva iti gyeyam. So the wind and the water had the same extent of that much of water and wind that were there at the time of dissolution. When it had increased, that was also of the same state of, it was at that state. The material world is called illusory because it is a place of forgetfulness of the transcendental service of the Lord. Thus, one is engaged in the Lord's devotional service in the material world may sometimes be very much disturbed by awkward circumstances. There is a declaration of war between the two parties, the illusory energy and the devotee, and sometimes the weak devotees fall victim to the onslaught of the powerful illusory energy. Lord Brahma, however, was sufficiently strong by the causeless mercy of the Lord, and he could not be victimized by the material energy. Although it gave him cause of anxiety when it managed to totter the existence of his vision, managed to shake him. Just a minute. So as we will learn in the next verse, Brahma, he will destroy this shaking and all that. He will change the very situation. 6. Tapasa Shedhavanena Vidyaya Chatma Samsthaya Vruddha Vigyana Valaha Nyapad Vayam Sahambhasa. It destroys it. It drinks it up. Long penance and transcendental knowledge of self-realization had matured Brahma in practical knowledge, and thus he drank the wind completely along with the water. Lord Brahma's struggle for existence is a personal example of the continuous fight between the living entities in the material world and the illusory energy called Maya. Beginning from Brahma down to this age, the living entities were struggling with the forces of material. The living entities are struggling with the forces of material nature. By advanced knowledge in science and transcendental realization, one can try to control the material energy, which works against our endeavors. And in the modern age, advanced material scientific knowledge and penance have played very wonderful roles in controlling the powers of the material energy. Such control of the material energy, however, can be most successfully carried out if one is a soul surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and carries out his order in the spirit of loving transcendental service. Okay, there are some questions. One should not approach a layman for replies to specific spiritual inquiries. Sometimes we see even realized devotees cannot clarify the questions, how to understand. Now, one should approach persons who have sufficient knowledge about specific things. When we engage in Krishna consciousness in a pure manner, then three things come about. One is realized knowledge, another is detachment, and another is a devotional attraction to the Lord. So that realization is part of devotion service itself. But for specific spiritual inquiries, one should approach those who can provide proper, authentic answers based on the scripture. Lord Brahma, however, was sufficiently strong by the causeless mercy of the Lord, and he could not be victimized by the material energy. Why? The Lord does not provide the same mercy to everyone like Brahma. Then nobody will fall down after trying to surrender at least. No, he provides the same mercy to everyone. But Brahma accepts it, and those who accept it like Brahma, they will also be helped. Those who, if I try to surrender, then Krishna will also try to save me. If I do surrender, then Krishna will also factually save me. यथा मां प्रपद्यन्ते तां तथैव भजाम्यहम्. Okay. 7. तद्विरुध्य यद्व्यापि पुष्करं यदधिष्ठितम् अनेन लोकान् प्राग्लीनान् कल्पितास्मि इत्यचिन्तयत्. Thereafter he saw that the lotus on which he was situated was spread throughout the universe. And he contemplated how to create all the planets which were previously merged in that very same lotus. ततश्च पुष्करं पद्मं वियद्व्यापि सत्यलोकपर्यन्तम् उच्छ्रितं कल्पितास्मि स्रक्ष्यामि. So then he thought, first of all, he noticed that this lotus was spread throughout the universe. Viyadyapti. It was extensively widespread up to Satyaloka. It was very tall, Chritam. It was very tall. So then he thought, no, I should create. The seeds of all the planets in the universe were impregnated in the lotus on which Brahma was situated. All the planets were already generated by the Lord, and all the living entities were also born in Brahma. The material world and the living entities were all already generated in seedling forms by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Brahma was to disseminate the same seedlings all over the universe. The real creation is therefore called Sarga, and later on the manifestation by Brahma is called Visarga. So we'll resume from this. Note. Tomorrow I should resume from 3.10.8. All right. Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo namo namaha.